So if you're watching this, you probably have some sort of business. You need this website built, but you have no idea how much you should pay them, what it's like to work with designers, or even how to find them in the first place. You've probably been scouring online for hours now, looking at people on Upwork, Fiverr. You've asked your friends for referrals. You've looked at a ton of example sites, but it's all super confusing. So in this video, I hope to clear all those questions up and more. And even if just one person comes out of here knowing how to do this stuff and get some sort of value from it, I've done my job, and that's all this video is for. I'm just gonna break down the process very simply for you, as easy as possible, so that you can have your website made. This video is gonna be split into 3 parts. First, we're gonna go over the options that you have for designers or how to have your website made, then actually selecting a designer from those different options, and then just the process of working with them. So first, a little bit about me. My name is Talon. I travel the world basically making websites, building brands. Currently run a web and graphic design studio called Free Play Studios, where we help brands in like 4 continents, mostly helping agencies and e-com stores. So let's get into the first part of this, which is the options for making your site. I break down any site into one of 4 categories. Basically, you have your e-com stores, things like Amazon, Nike.com. Basically, you're being able to browse all sorts of products, whether they're digital or physical, and being able to select the one you want, add it to some sort of cart. That's the first type. The second is selling some sort of service, having people take one desired action where the whole site is basically building trust, showing testimonials, so that they take the desired action of calling up your business, booking a consultation, or even just sending you an email. Examples of some service or one action sites would be something like if you Google dentists, getting them to book a consultation, going on a restaurant's website. They just show all this stuff like the menu, the pictures of the restaurant, just to get you to come to their restaurant. The third type is software. Software can be grouped into the service or one action sites because it is just an action that might be more complex. You need more coders, UI, UX designers on it just to make sure the whole experience is smooth. This would be something like TurboTax, where you go on the website, it's first telling you to take the desired action of filling out your taxes there, or like Salesforce, where the first landing page is getting you to use the software, and then after that, like you're actually in the CRM doing things. Now the last type of site is just pure information or entertainment. So this would be sites like Wikipedia, where the only desired action they want you to do is donate, but honestly they just want you to read the stuff. Or something like YouTube or Instagram, where of course they make the desired action of signing up for an account, but after that you're kind of just like scrolling. Facebook, you're scrolling and they just make money off ad revenue. Even sites like blogs are similar to this, where they're kind of just making money off of ads, and they just want you to spend as much time on their website as possible. So those are the 4 main types of sites. That just helps the designer so much more because certain designers and developers focus on making one type of site. Most people who make websites can make all the other 3. So unless it's some sort of complex software, you're chilling. Now that you have all 4 of those laid out, and you're just like, oh, I'm able to make an e-com or a store page, or oh, I want a service-based website. Now in terms of different options, we're gonna go through them from the lowest price to what tends to be the highest price. So the first option you have is to make a website yourself. This is gonna be the cheapest. I'm gonna represent it with just like $1 DIY. You basically have platforms like Squarespace, Wix is a good example, even Shopify. You could do that type of stuff. And these normally charge you anywhere between $100 to $500 a year, very transparent, and like you kind of know what you're getting into. Some of these builders that I named are more complicated than others, some are simpler. That's just the thing, it's like figure it out yourself. That's what it is. You have the ability to do it yourself and just like set up everything. Even WordPress, which I don't really suggest, is super cheap. You can set it up yourself if you're tech savvy enough, but like it's a bit outdated and you're just gonna run into a lot of problems. Now the next option you have, $2, is hiring someone to do it for you off some sort of marketplace site. So this is things like Fiverr or Upwork, or many of the DIY website builders that I mentioned have their own marketplaces. Like Squarespace, they have their own marketplace where you can say Squarespace designer and you go to their website and they have a bunch of registered designers. Or Webflow, which I use, has the same thing. All of these have registered designer pages. There's not as much of a personal connection. These people get so many projects that you're kind of just like another person in their catalog, but like they're really good at going out fast. As long as they have a good portfolio and they have proof to back what their prices are, then you could get that. Next option, which is kind of honestly on par, so I'm only gonna have $2 for this as well, is somebody in your network or like referrals. Can't spell referrals to that. Referrals are basically people when you ask a friend, hey, do you know anyone who makes websites? then your friend can say, oh, my friend Talon or my friend Jake, my friend Lauren makes websites. You kind of get the similar thing there, except they're not on these websites. Specifically Fiverr and Upwork, you get people who are from all around the world who are willing to take cheaper pay because they're from some place like India or the Philippines where that money goes a lot further there. While going through referrals tends to be higher, but if you're picking someone who's more beginner and such, you could pay around the same. I'd say the major difference between these two is Fiverr, Upwork, and those types of platforms, it's less personal. And maybe you won't get the back-end support that you normally get from somebody in your network or through a referral. So they're more inclined to give you a better experience because they're like, hey, like, you know me personally or you know like my social media accounts, so it can come back to bite me. And this also can come through Google and such. Like, I'm counting referrals as any like kind of medium ends where they're not on platforms like Fiverr where they're only charging you $10 for a website, but also they like kind of know what they're doing a bit. The last option, which tends to be the most pricey, is some sort of agency. This is because they have a lot of employees. They need to cover their expenses. They oftentimes produce some sort of good service. They have some proof to back up, whether it's websites or Facebook ads, that type of thing. So you have your options here. Personally, I tend to lie kind of like in this middle realm. I started my business based on referrals. I'm still like kind of right now in this middle phase where it's like creating a lot of the websites with my own input and like actively in the code myself. But I do have other people working with me, therefore I need to charge higher so that I can pay those people. So this is kind of like your 4 main options here for different levels that you can take it. Each has their own pros and cons. Basically, when you're selecting a designer, you want to take into account 3 main factors. You have price, which we already went over here. Then you have, this column will be quality. This last column is going to be speed. Those are your 3 main factors. Chances are you can't have all 3. Every once in a while you land on a unicorn of a designer who does offer all 3. Often when you get 2, you sacrifice on one of these. If you want price and quality, it's probably not going to be very fast. Or you might get quality and speed. They might do a really good job. They might be very speedy, but you're going to pay a lot for it. You have 10 scores like on a skill tree. You can only put them in so many. Basically, with all these, what you're doing in selecting it is minimizing the risk for each of these categories. The most I've ever heard of a website being sold for is $370,000. They paid a lot for that, and it's gonna be super slow, but because it's for a big company, like Fortune 500 company, the quality's gonna be really good and not gonna have very much risk. 90% chance it's gonna be all good because they paid so much for it. Versus, if you're like, I just want the cheapest thing ever, but I want it today, there's services like Website in a Day. They'll basically create you something pretty cheap, pretty fast, but who knows, it could be the quality you want or it could not be. For Website in a Day, like speed is a level 9. This is a level, let's say 5, and then this might be a level 1. While for the $300,000 website, this is a level 9. This is like a level 5. This is a level 1 because it's so expensive. Now you can kind of see how you can rearrange those different parts. If this is some sort of side hustle that you're running on your own, you're selling t-shirts out of your driveway or something, and you just want something that'll get the job done, you don't have to spend very much money on it. You don't have to really worry about the quality. You can kind of pick and choose where you want to eliminate risk. If you're a business and you're supporting like your whole family on this, you might pay for something quality, but because like you're a smaller business, you might pay $10,000, let's say. Maximize the one that you're looking for. So if you're looking for speed, you want to maximize that one and then take the other 2 and see just who has the highest score out of these. I tell my clients, we do it within 30 or 45 days, and I give them a timeline of things. That way they know how fast it's going to take. Now we come into the third part, which is actually working with the designer and developer. Everyone who makes websites has their own process. Some people are just designers, they'll just make you the design. Some people are just developers, which they'll only code up the site. Chances are when you're looking for a web designer, they're gonna give you both as an option. Personally for me, I do both. We are flexible. Another thing to look out in the process of selecting somebody is their process. If you say, hey, like, what's your process like? What's the process we're gonna go through? And they can break it down to you so that you can understand it, as well as not say, and take a while to think about it. Chances are they've done this before, versus if someone's like, oh, we're just gonna make the website for you, they don't have a very good process. It shows kind of a lack of experience there. You always wanna look for people with streamlined processes if you are willing to pay that price. If you just want somebody amateur and cheap and like you just want cheap prices, you don't need a full-on process. Things to look out for to know that they're good from the get-go is if they have good contracts, good payment systems like invoicing and such, that's a green flag. I made the mistake in the past when I've added people to my team and we just like couldn't find a solid way to get them the money. And I'm like, all right, this is a red flag because it shows that you haven't done this before if you don't have these contracts and if you don't have the proper invoicing systems in place. Another thing is good communication as well. You want like boundaries to be set. If it's someone on Fiverr or Upwork, chances are you're gonna be speaking to them once every other week. Now on your side to work with them, please, to make their lives as easy as possible, have all the assets ready. That means any logos, colors you want in it, photos that you want on the website, have that ready when you start working with them. You just want to have as much as you possibly can ready when you start. That way they're set off on the right foot. Another thing with that is even during the interview process, have example sites ready of something that you're looking to or something close that you're looking for. All right, this helps designers so much because they can't read your mind. As much as it seems like we can and we make cool, we can't read your mind. So the more information you can provide us up front, the better the end product will be. Come with examples, they'll absolutely love you for it. Come with some of your competitors' work too, because then they know, okay, cool, they're doing this, so I should structure the funnel in this way. It'll all make everyone's lives so much easier and it'll require less revision rounds, less back and forth. As I said before, if they have a process in place, just follow the steps that they give you. They're probably gonna make everything, if they're experienced, everything is gonna be as easy as possible for you. Some people have certain forms to fill out for you. Some people get you on calls and just like ask you questions. Others will just say, hey, I'm taking total control. Don't worry about it. I'll come to you in 2 weeks when we have something ready. If you are trying to have them manipulate around your process, tell them that straight up in the first interview. Overall, that's the whole process from like different types you have to selecting the person based on these 3 attributes. And now, hopefully this was enough to get you the step-by-step. If you have any questions about this whole process, leave them in the comments below. I'll be there replying. I'm just here to provide value. Since you made it all the way to the end of the video, hopefully you got some value out of it. If you want to know more about like website creation and such, subscribe. That's what I do here. That's my main business, is making cool websites for people. And yeah, continue exploring and hope you have an epic day.